Alright, today we are making a tier list out of every food on the animal-based diet. Now this is the best diet, not only for muscle growth, but also for feeling amazing. But, that said, there are some foods that are better than others on this diet. And so we're going to find out which ones you should be prioritizing and eating the most of, and which ones you maybe shouldn't eat as much of, because there are some that aren't as good as others. I've included basically the staples of the diet. There's a lot of other foods you could include here, a lot of other fruits especially, but these are the main ones. These are the most important ones, and you have to know which of these are the best so that you can focus on them and get all the benefits without any of the downsides of some of these other foods. So, first we have a nice ribeye steak right here. Now this is probably the most delicious and the most nutritious food on this list. And when I'm rich, when I'm, making a lot of money, I'm gonna be eating ribeye steaks for probably 2 meals a day at least, because they are so good. They have so much fat, they're so calorie dense, and they have all the nutrients of red meat. Unfortunately, however, they are extremely expensive, so that does knock them down a tier from S tier, which they would be S tier, except they're like $50 for one steak, bro. It's actually insane. I'm gonna put them in A tier because, they would be S tier, but I wish they weren't so expensive. Now, we have ground beef. Now this is basically ribeye steak, but cheap. It doesn't taste as good, obviously, but this is gonna get you all the benefits of ribeye steak, except it's gonna be cheap. It's gonna be $6-7 a pound. Very inexpensive, and that means you can eat 1 pound to 2 pounds of these a day, and that's what I do. If you want to feel insane, if you want higher testosterone, higher muscle growth, just feel amazing, your brain works so much better, all of that benefits from eating 1 to 2 pounds of ground beef a day. I would say 1 pound minimum. 1 pound minimum. For breakfast, I'll be eating at least 1 pound with some eggs. But, gotta go in S tier. The best food. The single best food. It's so cheap, and it's delicious. You can make them into burgers, and they have all the nutrients of red meat. Red meat is the best food for you. And I would say a close second is eggs. Alright, now, I don't even need to explain this one really, but eggs are in S tier. They have so many nutrients, basically same level of nutrients as red meat, and they also have cholesterol, which is insane for testosterone. It's gonna give you so many benefits. If you eat 10 eggs minimum every day for the rest of your life, you will be superhuman, basically. These things are the craziest superfood. The cholesterol they have will boost your testosterone through the roof. All the nutrients, more protein, more fat. You can scramble them, you can, sunny side up them, whatever you want to do. Cook them a million different ways, they all taste delicious. They have to go in S tier, and they're not super expensive either. I would say get pasture-raised eggs. If you're not gonna get grass-fed meat, I would say grass-fed meat is maybe not worth it when it comes to steak and ground beef, but for eggs, you should get pasture-raised because it's not that much more expensive, and you get a lot of the omega-3 and, the other benefits of eating more, kindly raised eggs. Alright, so make sure you're getting the pasture-raised eggs. And I would say 10 to 12 per day, alright, because they're not that expensive and they have so many nutrients. Next, we have chicken. Now, chicken, on the animal-based diet, you want to be prioritizing ground beef and steak if you can afford it, but after these two, this is still a very healthy food. It's going to give you some of the same nutrients, but red meat is just superior in every way. And if you're wasting your time with chicken, you might as well just eat some ground beef, honestly. It tastes great. It's nice to eat a nice thing of chicken, but it's not going to give you that many nutrients, especially when you have red meat as an option. Red meat is just superior in every way, and it's just not super cheap either. You should just eat a pound of ground beef instead of eating some chicken. All right. And then the same thing really goes for bacon and pork. This represents pork and, you know, pork chops and bacon and all that. Again, B tier. It's good protein, all right. But the thing is, first of all, they don't have that. I mean, bacon has a lot of fat, but chicken doesn't have very much fat. And you want the fatty red meat foods because they're just so much better. They have so many more nutrients, and they're ruminant animals, so they're not gonna, you know, pass on all the linoleic acid and the omega-6 inflammatory stuff to you because they're better at processing cows and lamb. I don't have lamb on here, but lamb would be up here too because you want lamb and cow as your animals that you eat, not chicken and pigs. All right, so those are in B tier, still solid. If you're eating one meal a day of chicken or pork, that's fine. You're still gonna get good nutrients, and meat is the healthiest food you can eat. All right, now milk. Milk is pretty controversial. It's what the mother cows feed their babies to make them grow, you know, big and strong. But at the same time, dairy is very problematic. It has lactose. Milk has lactose. It has casein protein, hard to digest for humans. And I mean, I think I'm gonna have to put it in C tier, honestly, because of those problematic ingredients. The one benefit of milk is that it's very easy calories. It's basically it's the only liquid protein you can get on this diet. And if you're bulking, if you really need to bulk and you don't, you know, have a dairy intolerance like 90% of people do, then go ahead, go drink a gallon of milk a day. But for me, milk causes acne. Milk, you know, makes me feel kind of suboptimal. So I'm gonna put that in C tier, honestly. But if you really want to drink milk, go ahead. It's gonna give you some nutrients. And if it's raw milk, definitely. If raw milk would probably be in B or A tier. But I mean, most of us can't be drinking raw milk because we don't have access to all that. But pasteurized milk is gonna go in C tier. It's all right. Okay, it's not really worth it in my opinion. You should focus on the more nutrient dense meat, red meat, and eggs. And then we have yogurt. Now, Greek yogurt, it has some of the same problems as milk, but it doesn't have nearly as much lactose, even though it still has some casein protein, which is a little problematic. So I would say I'll put it in B tier because I've eaten Greek yogurt in the past. It's pretty solid. It gives you a very delicious, very convenient source of protein, and I don't get nearly the same number of issues that I get from milk. I feel great when I eat Greek yogurt, but again, it's just kind of a waste of time and money. Like, you should just be focusing really on the meat, the red meat and the eggs, because they're just more nutrient dense, and you know, eating Greek yogurt is taking up space in your stomach that could go to the more nutritious foods. All right, and then cheese. I would say cheese is honestly above Greek yogurt because I don't know. I still eat cheese every so often. I'll have, you know, a little dash of Parmesan cheese with my burgers or whatever, and it doesn't really cause me any negative side effects at all. No lactose at all basically, so not problematic really, and I mean, it has the casein protein, but you can get raw cheese also much easier than you can get, you know, raw milk or raw yogurt. So I think it deserves the A tier, honestly. So dairy overall, I would say prioritize cheese, and then yogurt maybe sometimes, and then milk, hopefully not, because it's going to cause you some issues, most likely. Dairy is pretty problematic on this diet, but if it's raw dairy especially, you should maybe, you know, bump these up. But yeah, so that's dairy. And then for fruit, all right, now these are dates. Now if you've never had a date, I hadn't had a date until like last year. So, I mean, you might never have had a date before, but dates are insane. They're absolutely insane. I'm gonna put them, honestly, S tier. S tier date. They have some micronutrients, you know, they got potassium and shit or whatever, but honestly, they just taste amazing. They're calorie dense, they're easy to get. You can just order them on Amazon and they last forever in a bag. They're sweet as hell, they're nature's candy. They're gonna give you a ton of good carbs. And I also did not include butter on this list, but butter is going to go in S tier. Butter would go in S tier because It has none of the problematic stuff that other dairy products have, like lactose or casein protein. And you can eat it every day. You can get in a ton of fat from butter. And one of the things I like to do is add butter to my dates. Butter with dates, underrated combo. You have to try that shit. It's so, so good. All right, so dates are an S tier. Go order some dates. All right. Now, bananas. Bananas. Look, I love bananas as much as the next guy, but I mean, I don't know. They would be S tier except for the fact that you gotta wait for them to ripen, and sometimes you get a green, but excuse me, a bunch of green bananas, and they just kind of taste mid. But overall, they give you some really good carbs, and they're extremely cheap. You can get a bunch of bananas for like 87 cents or some shit, but they're good as hell. They taste really good, but sometimes they don't, right? Sometimes they're green as hell. And you have to eat them at the perfect time. Otherwise, you don't have the best experience. So I would put them in A tier. Solid fruit. Definitely prioritize bananas because, they're pretty calorie dense and you can get them pretty cheap. But next up we have apples. Now, I am not a fan of apples. Whenever I eat an apple, for some reason, I get crazy brain fog. I don't know why that is. It's something to do with, I asked ChatGPT or something, and it was saying, like, sorbitol. It has some shit in the skin or something that makes it hard to digest and causes some issues for me, and it might cause issues for you. Plus, apples, they're fun to eat, but at the end of the day, I think C tier. I think C tier. Anything that gives me brain fog is just, I'm never gonna eat an apple. I'm never gonna eat an apple. Same goes for apple juice. Our ancestors were never squeezing juice out of apples, so you never really want to be eating apples in large quantities because they're just not the best. Plus, they're hit or miss with getting a good apple or not. If you get a mid apple, it's just kind of, it's mid as hell. So yeah, they're in C tier. And then blueberries. Blueberries are going in S tier. Insane fruit. I could eat like a mountain of blueberries. I could just swim in a bath of blueberries and just eat millions of them. They're just so good, and they have so many micronutrients. People say they're a superfood because they have antioxidants and shit, but that's not why they're a superfood. They're a superfood because they have good carbs. They're not super calorie dense, but they have vitamin C and all the vitamins you want from fruit. But, antioxidants are bullshit, so whatever. But they taste really good, and they have micronutrients, right? And next up, we have orange juice. Now, orange juice, this is a very convenient source of carbs. I think I'm going to put it in B tier. Because, juice, I'm very skeptical about juice because fruit juice, were our ancestors eating fruit juice? I don't really think so. And I think a glass of orange juice, which is like 8 oranges, our ancestors never would have eaten that, right? But at the same time, I've never had any issues with orange juice. If you need to bulk, go ahead, eat, or drink orange juice. Drink a bottle of orange juice. It's not super expensive either. And it tastes really, really good. So I think that goes for most fruit juices too, like naked juice. I'll put them in B tier. They're pretty good, but I would just focus on whole fruit regardless. And next we have honey. I shouldn't even have to say anything for this. This is immediately going in S tier. Immediately. Honey is the best carb. Out of all the carbs in the entire world, honey is the best. Extremely calorie dense. First of all, you want to be getting raw honey, right? So you get some of the little bee nutrients, whatever. I'm not an expert on honey, but I don't know how the hell bees make that shit. But anyways, you want to be getting clean carbs from honey. I would say 10 tablespoons minimum, which is like half a bottle of honey. And that'll get you like 700 calories, like 150 to 200 grams of carbs, which is your minimum number of carbs you should be eating anyways. Yeah, you want to be eating a lot of honey. I've never had any issues with honey causing me to feel, bad at all. It always just gives me energy, spikes my insulin in a healthy way. I don't really get skin issues or anything from honey. It's the best. It's just the best. And you want those insulin spikes from honey. Now, I would say melon, watermelon, cantaloupe, honeydew. Last little fruit here. I would put it in A tier, honestly. It's pretty solid fruit. Nothing too crazy. but it's kind of a pain to acquire. You have to cut it open and slice it up and everything. So I'll put it in A tier. Again, pretty solid. So, based on this tier list, the majority of your diet, 99% of your diet, should be the S and the A tier. All right, these are going to be the most nutrient-dense foods, so the meat, the red meat, and the eggs. So you can add in a little cheese with your meals if you want. All right, it won't hurt. Might give you a little calcium and shit. And the fruits you need to prioritize are these because they're just delicious and they're not going to cause you any issues. They don't cause me any issues. You can experiment with them. You can experiment with apples too. They might not cause you any issues. For me, they're in C tier. Now, besides that, you don't want to be including really any dairy besides the cheese. You don't want to be including yogurt unless you're bulking. If you're bulking, basically everything on here, as much as you can. But yeah, don't ever be really be drinking milk. It's gonna cause you too many issues unless it's raw. But if you don't have raw milk, just don't drink milk. You focus on the more nutrient-dense sources of protein and fat. And apples. Experiment with them if you want, but I would say focus on the S and the A tier and base your meals and almost entirely around ground beef and eggs. All right, 3 meals a day, ground beef, eggs. Very simple. At least a pound of ground beef, at least 10 eggs. And then, dates, blueberries, honey are your carb sources mostly. And then you can throw in some bananas, throw in some cantaloupe, whatever you want, some cheese for variety. And then once you're rich, throw in some ribeye steaks. All right. So yeah, that's the tier list of animal-based foods. Hope that helps you figure out what to eat more of. And thanks for watching.